Hey, welcome to Kitchen All Over the World, the show where I cook things that I've never tasted before. On today's episode, I'll be cooking Bistec de Palomilla from Cuba. Join me. So first thing we're going to do is marinate the steak. And the steak in this case is some shoulder. You could use sirloin too, but basically the idea is it's supposed to be a pretty cheap cut. And it's supposed to be pretty thin, as you can see here. We're going to start by rubbing some garlic into the steak itself. So I've got my garlic press here, and I'm going to press it through directly onto the steak. All right, I think that should do it for one side. Over and do it to the other. Next up, I'm going to juice a lime. I'm going to squeeze that on top of the steak. I'm going to season it generously with some salt and pepper. Just throw that in a Ziploc bag. I'm going to take all that extra garlic that fell off and throw it in there as well. I'm going to slice up one onion. Nice and thin. I think half an onion will do, considering I'm only doing a small steak. So let's take those onions and throw them into that bag. Let's get all the air out, fill it up, mush it around a little bit, break up those onions so that marinade can get in between. And I'm going to throw that in the fridge for at least an hour. So while the steak is marinating in the fridge, I've got a, I think it's 18-ounce bag of black beans. It's like the smaller size bag. I soaked them overnight. I'm gonna cover that up with 8 cups of water. I'm gonna throw in a couple bay leaves and a couple teaspoons of olive oil. Let's bring that to a boil. Okay, so now that the beans are boiling away, I'm gonna put it on the back burner on medium-low for an hour with a cover on. All right, let's make a sofrito, which is basically saute of the aromatics that we're using. So, got a medium-high flame. Throw a little olive oil in there, a couple tablespoons. When you feel like you're getting a nice suntan, that's when you know it's getting hot enough. All right, we got some bubbles going on. So, this is gonna consist of, I've got a onion diced up that I dropped on the floor, and a bell pepper. I'm just gonna saute these guys a little bit. I've got some more of that pressed garlic. Just throw that in there. I've got some cumin, so I'm gonna put in a teaspoon of that. Strong stuff, so you don't want too much. It kind of smells like sweat, so you also don't want too much. And same deal with oregano, it's also very strong, so let's just throw in, yeah, that's good. Give that a quick toss. And those beans have been cooking for 45 minutes or so. And I'm gonna add the sofrito into the pot. It's been about 50 minutes or so. Now, full disclosure, I removed some of the water because I don't know who wrote that recipe, but 8 cups was way too much. But you can see now I have this awesome thick broth, just like, it looks like mud, which is great. And I have high hopes for this. I also added way too much sofrito, so maybe I used too small of a bag of beans, but whatever. So at this point, I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of red wine vinegar. That should be good. I'm gonna add about 1/4 cup of dry white wine. You don't have to add this if you don't want to. I know I have a lot of viewers in Saudi Arabia, so you can leave that out. And a tablespoon of sugar. Give it a quick stir. I'm just gonna leave that on low for about 5 minutes or so. So I've got my steak out of the fridge. Going to remove it from the package, bag, whatever you want to call this, and pat it dry. Supposedly we're supposed to reserve the marinade, but I only used juice from 1 lime. So let's see if there's actually anything to reserve there. Yeah, if we squeeze the onions just a little bit, a couple tablespoons maybe. And I'm gonna hold on to these onions because those are gonna get cooked up in a little bit. So I've got a pan on medium high. I'll throw a little bit of olive oil in there just to coat the pan. And let's sear our steak for a couple of minutes per side. Let's deglaze with the juice from 1 lime. Look how green that is, awesome. Scrape up all that goodness. And we're gonna add that little bit of marinade that we had and the onions that we had in the bag. Let's just dump that whole thing in there. As well as some garlic, because we don't want to go too long on these, maybe 5 minutes or so. I got this nice and medium rare. I think I got a little too much of the onion in that bite, but the onion flavor is like, well, you saw how much garlic went into there, so there's a lot of garlic flavor, a lot of lime flavor. The onions picked up because they'd been sitting in that bag for so long, they picked up all that flavor. So they don't really taste like onions. I'm gonna try brushing some of these off and try the steak and see what it picked up. The onions really, and the marinade itself, puts a lot of flavor into the meat. But that end piece, it's like a seared steak with like a garlic rub on it, which is essentially what we did in the beginning. And then once you get those onions on there, then you pick up the lime flavor. It's different from what I think of as steak. It's a lot lighter, but definitely, you know, I'd eat this in Cuba, basically is the idea, right? Hot weather, sitting on the beach, eating a nice steak with some lime sauce. So let's see how these beans came out. Still a little watery. I don't know, I should have started out with a lot less water, I think. You can see it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be a lot more thick, like a gravy almost. So that's Bistec de Palomilla. If you enjoyed watching this, give it a thumbs up, please. If you want to see more of my videos in the future, then hit that subscribe button up there. And if you have food from your home country that you want to see me prepare on this show, then leave a comment below, down there. See you next time. Thanks for watching.